Hi, it's Amy from the Northwest Fire District. How many of you know what the largest organ of your body is? Did anybody say skin? Well, you're right. It is your skin. Our skin is the largest organ of our body. We do have other organs. We've got our heart, our lung, our kidney, our liver, even our brain. We have so many organs in our body, but today I want to talk to you about the largest, which is, that's right, your skin. So let me tell you some really cool facts about our skin. First of all, our skin is waterproof, which is great because if you swim or take a bath or shower, you're not going to be leaking water all day long because our skin is waterproof. Did you also know that our skin is designed to keep us cool on a hot, sunny day and keeps us warm on a cold winter day? Okay, let's talk about something else. Did you know that your skin protects you from germs and all those other yucky things that are out there in the environment? It does. So our skin does a lot of really cool things. I want to tell you one more really cool thing about our skin. Our skin comes in a variety of different beautiful shades of color. We've got skin that's really, really dark brown to skin that is really, really light brown. So our skin is pretty amazing, and I want to talk to you about that today. So what I want to do is I'm going to pretend that I've taken a piece of our skin and have put it under a microscope. And what we're going to do is I want to talk about the 3 different layers of our skin, what they're called, what happens inside of those layers of our skin, and then at the very end I want to talk to you what happens when you burn each of those layers of skin. All right, let's get started. Okay, so we've got our skin. So we have 3 layers of skin, and each layer is given a name. And that first layer of skin is called the epidermis. Now, epi stands for outside, and dermis stands for skin. So epidermis is the outside of our skin, what we see every single day. And within that first layer of skin, we have a lot of skin cells. So layers 2 and 3 of our skin are constantly producing more skin. And what it does is it works its way up into that first layer. And then every single day we lose skin and it gets replaced with this new skin that sits in that first layer. Now the second layer of our skin is called the dermis. And remember, dermis stands for skin. So the second layer is called dermis. Now, there's quite a bit of things that happen within this second layer of skin, but we're only going to talk about a couple of those items. So one of the first things that happens in that second layer of skin are all of our sweat glands. Okay, now maybe some of you are like, sweat glands, what do you mean? Well, when you guys come out back in from, let's say, playing out at recess or out in the yard, whatever it may be, and you get really sweaty, right? All of a sudden your skin is really moist and like, you can wipe that sweat off. All of that sweat comes from the sweat glands that are in that second layer of skin. And the sweat glands are designed to help cool our body off on really hot, warm days. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna draw some sweat glands, all right? Go ahead and we'll just put a couple in there, okay? Now something else that happens in that second layer of skin is where our hair grows. So all of those little hair follicles grow within that second and third layer of skin. So let's go ahead and draw some hair follicles, okay? Go ahead and draw a few hair follicles. And there it is, growing up and out of that first layer of skin. So now we've got our hair follicles that grow in that second layer. Now let's talk about the third layer of our skin and its name. And the name for this third layer of our skin is called the hypodermis. Hypodermis. Okay, so let's talk about what happens in that third layer. We're just gonna again talk about just a few of those things that happen in the third layer. So within our third layer are all of our blood vessels, okay? And then from our blood vessels, we have all of our veins, okay? So then our veins come up in through that second and first layer of skin. Now something else that happens within that third layer of skin are all of our touch sensors. So if you were to reach down and touch the floor right now, so whether you have carpet or hardwood floors or maybe even tile, you may feel something that is smooth, scratchy, rough, prickly. And those are your touch sensors that are in that third layer of skin that are telling you what those items feel like, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna just draw some touch sensors, okay? And they kind of come up and up underneath that skin, all right? Also, something that happens within that third layer of skin are what are called fatty cells. And those fatty cells are designed to protect your skin. All those different layers of skin protects your bones. So think about when you've bumped into a table or if you bumped into a chair, those fatty cells are there to kind of help protect your skin and help protect your body. So we're gonna go ahead and just draw a few fatty cells. Now these fatty cells will actually fill up that entire third layer of skin. Now, earlier I was telling you that one of the really cool facts about our skin is that it protects us from germs, right? Germs getting inside of our body. Now, if you've ever gotten a paper cut or maybe just a regular cut, maybe from like a knife or something like that, or even skinned your knee, when that happens, that first layer of skin breaks open, alrighty? And I know that when you cut yourself or scraped your knee, the first thing the grown-up wants to do is they want to clean that area with soap and water. They want to dry it off and then they want to cover it up. Because our goal is that we want to keep all of those germs from getting into the skin, into all those different layers of skin, okay? So let's talk about what happens when we burn our skin. Now, if you guys have ever gotten a burn that was, pink or red, what that means is that you burn this first layer of skin. You've burned that epidermis, all right? And what color does it turn again? That's right, it turns pink or red. So a first degree burn is burning that first layer of skin, right? Now, when you ever get a first degree burn, the first thing you need to do is you need to get it immediately under cold water. And you want to run it under cold water for at least 5 or 10 minutes. Keep it under that cold water until that feeling of that burning sensation starts to go away, all right? But we want to make sure that we never put ice directly on top of the skin, okay? We really recommend that you just use cold water. All right. The other thing that we never want to put on top of our burn is butter or oil. All right. What it does is it creates a greasy layer and it doesn't allow that heat from the burn to be able to escape. So again, we want to make sure that we never put butter or oil on a burn, just nice cold water. Now, let's say you got a first degree burn. Remember we talked about that it turned pink or red, but what if it actually created a blister? And a blister is where fluid builds up underneath the skin. Now, if you were to get a burn that created a blister, it would be called a second degree burn, okay? And basically what that means is you've burned through that first and second layer of the skin. And remember we talked about that all of our sweat glands sit in that second layer, okay? So when you burn this first layer of skin, all of the fluid from those sweat glands is going to build up underneath your skin and it's going to create what's called a blister. Now, just like we would do with a first degree burn, with that second degree burn and the blister is that you want to make sure that you put it under cold water and keep it under cold water until that burning sensation or burning feeling actually goes away, all right? Now, the most important thing is we never want to pop that blister. You're going to be tempted to pop it because there's all that fluid underneath that blister, but we want to make sure that we never pop the blister. So remember earlier we talked about cutting your skin or scraping your skin, and what it does is it allows for all those germs to get inside. Well, if you pop that blister, okay, remember your blister means you burn through that first and second layer of skin, which means, again, you're allowing for germs and bacteria to get into the skin. And so I want to make sure that you just don't touch the blister at all. Just go ahead and leave it alone. Now I want to talk to you about another burn, and it's called a third degree burn. And what that means is you have either played with fire, matches, lighters, all right? Now, third degree burn means you've burned all the way through the first, second, and into that third layer of skin. And a 3rd-degree burn is going to be black or white. So if mom or dad or the grown-up has maybe roasted some hot dogs on the grill and they come in and there's a burn charred area on that hot dog, it's kind of what your skin is going to look like when you get a 3rd-degree burn. But what's really, really important about that 3rd-degree burn is you have got to call 911, all right? Absolutely call 911, and you need to go to the hospital, okay? With a 3rd-degree burn, you can't put it under cold water, all right? Because you've burned through all of those layers of skin. And so putting it under cold water is really going to allow all sorts of bacteria and germs and those kinds of things to get in underneath that skin. And a 3rd-degree burn can only be taken care of by a doctor, all right? And a lot of times what happens is with a 3rd-degree burn, you're going to be left with a scar, all right? Which means that that first and second layer of skin are never going to be able to heal or repair themselves where you sustain that 3rd-degree burn, which means that area where the burn is, you may not be able to have feeling there, because remember we talked about our touch sensors are in that 3rd layer of skin. Hair will never grow in that area again because you burned in that 2nd layer of skin, and same thing with your sweat glands. So anytime you sustain a 3rd-degree burn that is going to be black or white, you absolutely have to call 911 and you've got to go to the hospital, all right? It's very, very important that you do that. Now, there's one other time that you would need to go to the hospital for a burn, and that is if a burn is larger than, say, like a silver dollar or, a medium-sized rock, all right? Now, if you were to get a burn that was larger than a medium-sized rock, you really need to call the doctor and probably go see the doctor. Now, a burn that's larger than like a medium-sized rock can come from maybe playing around the stove while the grown-up in the house is cooking pasta or boiling water. And maybe you accidentally knocked the pan and it fell and all of that hot liquid landed on your body. That's going to give you a burn bigger than that medium-sized rock. You also need to make sure that you're wearing sunblock in the summertime, because you can get a burn all over your body. And if that blisters, you may need to go to the doctor. You may need to, or even go to the hospital. So I want to make sure that you guys are taking care of your skin, because remember, it does so many important things. But when we get in and we start burning those layers of skin, lots of bad things can start to happen. And we want to make sure that we're keeping our skin as protected as much as we possibly can. So now I want to talk to you about temperatures. I need you to understand how hot things can be, okay? So let's talk about body temperature, all right? So the average human body's temperature is 98.7 degrees, all right? So that would mean that you are healthy and feeling really good, okay? So that would be the body temperature. Now, let's say, what would the temperature of a hot summer day in the state of Arizona be? How about 110 degrees? So we're gonna go ahead and write 110 degrees, okay? That's a hot summer day. How about baking cookies, all right? So maybe grandma, grandpa, mom and dad, or maybe the grown-up in your house likes to bake cookies or brownies or even muffins. We typically would set the temperature of the oven to about 400 degrees, okay? That's pretty hot, right? We already know that a summer day in Arizona is really hot, but now in order to bake cookies, we know that we need to get the oven to about 400 degrees. Now, how many of you like sparklers? Raise your hand. I love sparklers. I love everything about them. They remind me of the 4th of July. We like to set them off around New Year's Eve. But let's talk about the temperature of a sparkler, okay? I'm gonna write this number down. And if you know the number, I want you to say it out loud. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. All right, did any of you say 1600 degrees? 1,600 degrees is the temperature of a sparkler. That's really hot, right? So when we talk to you guys about not playing with matches, lighters, not playing with fireworks when you don't have adult supervision, the reason for that is because of the temperature of how hot those fireworks can get. There's some fireworks that can get even hotter than that, okay? So I need to make sure that you guys are being really careful. If we get a burn that is pink or red, it's going to be that's right, first-degree burn. And how do we cool off that first-degree burn? That's right, with cold water. Okay, if that burn turns into a blister, how do we cool that blister? That's right, with cold water. Excellent. Now, do we pop the blister? No, right? We don't want to pop that blister because what it's going to do is it's going to allow germs, right? Let me write germs right here. It's going to allow germs into our skin, and we do not want to get any germs inside of our skin because we can get infections, right? Okay, and then that third-degree burn is going to be black or white. We're going to call 911 and we're going to go to the hospital. Now, I mentioned two more things. We talked about never putting what on our skin? Butter or oil. We're never going to put butter or oil on our skin, okay? We're never going to put ice directly onto a burn because that can actually make the burn worse. And if that burn is larger than a medium-sized rock, we need to call the doctor and probably go to the hospital. Okay, so I love this lesson. I love teaching you guys about your skin and the really great, cool, interesting things about our skin, but I also want you to understand what happens when you burn your skin and how to take care of that. Okay, so until I see you guys next time, you have a great day, and I'll see you later.